Did you know that even if you're completely solar and you don't need the power grid anymore, you're still required to connect so that they can bill you for it?
Even if you come off the grid, and this might sound like a strange question, even if you come off the grid, are you not still on the grid? I mean, the cost, you're not going to be paying 10 million, but don't you still have to pay 10,000 or, I'm just using those numbers. Are you still not there?
Hopefully not, but let's hear what he's got to say.
There's a requirement, I believe, and I could be wrong, that you have to stay connected to the grid.
Right.
Yes, but so if you design the grid, you design it for a particular demand. And that demand, what you call revenue decay, if that demand goes away, so if it's 100 kilowatts you designed it for, and no persons are still connected, but they're not using the 100, they're using maybe 2 or 3 because the rest is being provided by their solar system. The full cost of the grid isn't being paid for by that bill that you get at the end of the month. So,
well, let me stop you there, Brian. That's not the customer's problem though, is it? That's not the customer's problem. That's your problem. That's your institution's problem. That's the supplier's problem. That's not the problem of customers, because at the end of the day, what you're basically saying is if people come off the grid and they don't have to pay, then that cost is then lumped onto those that's remaining on the grid, and the system was originally designed to supply electricity to X amount of people at X amount of kilowatts, and now that those people has keep up with technology and they can afford to pay to come off the grid and be free of it, you're basically saying you want to keep the shackles on those people so that they continue to pay, so that others pay a less price. And I'm like, but the billing system is not fair anyway, so it doesn't matter how much electricity you try to conserve, your bill is going to be high anyway. As I've illustrated earlier, people are complaining why their bill is so high, and they know fully well that they're not using the electricity at the level at which they're being billed. Now we understand why they're doing it, and they're justifying it by saying, oh, it's a fair system, it's spread across whatever. So they're trying to guilt trip those who can afford to come off and go fully solar. They're trying to guilt trip them on to stay onto it. And not only that, it kind of gives the implication, it appears as if they're trying to bully or intimidate people to stay on it.
Once you're within a couple, I can't remember the distance of a distribution line or basically grid provided electricity, you have to connect to it.
Wow. Again, I'm just asking for an opinion. But
you see, now he said it. Before he said he's not sure. Now he's saying if as long as the grid is within a certain distance of your property, you have to connect to it. That to me is unfair. That is simply that's unfair. I mean, there's no way around it. I don't know how the government allow utility companies to have these type of draconian type of policies, and how it's even legal, because ethically this shouldn't happen. Now we know that ethical doesn't necessarily mean illegal, we understand that, but the government is literally allowing these people to operate unethically, because that's the way it appears on the surface.
Again, I'm just asking for an opinion, but why? If I'm not using it because I'm using solar powered stuff, right? Why?
So they connect. They have to be connected to the grid in order for the grid to work. And
oh, you hear what he said now? First it was I'm not sure, then he says you have to. And then now he's basically saying you have to, not only have to connect to the grid because it runs within a certain distance of your property, he's now doubled down on that and say you have to connect to the grid for it to work.
Are you serious?
Yo! So this is the analogy I'll draw. I'm in my community, or we're in our community, and imagine, I don't know, somebody open up a grocery store around the road from you. It's within a certain distance of you, and you're now required to shop at that store because it's within a certain distance of your home or your property. So when you're going to buy your grocery, you have to buy from them. That's what this sounds like to me, which is crazy.